with Monuments of Triumph, practically reprising and giving every weapon in the game a fresh new perk pool, being able to drop at tier 5. There's a bit of a change up in terms of what are some of the best weapons in the game. And in this video, I want to talk about everybody's favorite class of primaries, SMGs. Okay, there's quite a bit to go over, so let's go ahead and get right to it. We're going to start off with our honorable mentions here. In this category, I have the Out of Bounds, the No Survivors, the Immortal, and of course we have the Antedate. Obviously the Antedate is the Desert Perpetual SMG with rewind rounds and target lock. Not as good in this patch, this update, since they kind of nerfed super genning, especially super genning against dealing damage on a boss. So using a PK Titan with an infinite firing SMG is not going to net you as much super energy, but I still wanted to at least mention it here. The Immortal is obviously a strand SMG, and these days you can get it with attrition orbs and elemental honing. I just figured that was a role worth mentioning. Not too many other weapons in the game can roll attrition orbs and honing at the same time. A little bit of food for thought for you. Also, gotta have the Recluse here with Repulsor Brace and Chaos Reshaped. Especially with all of these artifacts that we have, you can get volatile rounds to proc your Repulsor Brace through the artifact for the Recluse, and having Chaos Reshape is just such a good perk in general. So if you want this SMG, hit up that Onslaught. And then yeah, the No Survivors is a little bit interesting just because it does have Burning Ambition in the third column. That's kind of the only reason I have it in the honorable mention category. Just a little bit of food for thought there for you. If you do like that perk, it might be okay on this SMG. It has something packing, something working, something going for it, even if it is just a little bit. And then the Out of Bounds, honestly a weapon I never thought I would talk about ever. The only reason I am mentioning it in this video is due to the fact that the Out of Bounds, first of all, it gets Accelerated Assault as an origin trait, which is just very, very good. And then it has Volt Shot in the third column, and you can pair that with either Jolting Feedback for LARP or Frenzy for more functionality in the fourth column. Go ahead, you pick and choose. Not necessarily my first choice of a SMG to use in the energy slot, but at least something worth mentioning and worth noting. Brief editor's note right quick. Earlier in the tweet today, they went ahead and mentioned that Chaos Reshape, the perk, actually may slow down health and shield regen. Obviously at the moment, slightly a bit of a silly little bug going on there with the perk and its healing functionality. Still a 35% damage perk and really good, and will be perfectly fine once it's fixed, but figured I want to mention this because I know some people are in the comments. Now that we have the honorable mention weapons out the way, let's go ahead and talk about some of the ones that I would consider to be a part of the actual list and ones that I would actually go and start to hunt down, depending on which one you want first. We will start off with the two that people already know about, right? The Multimach, the one from Banshee with attrition orbs and kinetic tremors. Yes, you can still just go to Banshee and buy it from him. Actually, you don't have to buy it, you just pick it up. It's still an absolute beast of a workhorse weapon in the kinetic slot. It'll go well on any loadout you're running. There's a reason why this SMG has been getting so much usage ever since it came back with attrition orbs and kinetic tremors. It makes orbs, it has a great splash perk, it's a 900 RPM SMG. Everything that you would want in a kinetic SMG is on the Multimach. However, there is competition for it these days. We'll get to that in just a little bit. The Fast Stalker, I feel like the Fast Stalker did get an indirect nerf with this patch. Same reason with the Antedate, right? Since super genning on bosses got hit relatively hard, the Fast Stalker does lose a little bit of its strength and power that it was used for, especially on PK Titans, to help just shoot forever, deal more damage than any other SMG in class because it's a blaster weapon. Never have to reload it. Never have to cool it down, especially if you have cooling baubles. Fire, 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 get your super back. It still is at base the hardest hitting SMG, but you're not going to be genning as much super with it, but it's still pretty darn good. Definitely the best stasis SMG that we have, and one that people were already farming a lot of during Renegades in the Lawless Frontier. If you do not have it at this point, I would say it's not as important, but it's definitely still good and worth picking up if you are in the Lawless Frontier and you get one to drop. We'll talk about another SMG that people are already familiar with, but if you haven't played the game in a minute or you weren't playing during Edge of Fate, this is important to you because you can go ahead and get your Yeartide Apex with legendary marks and Solstice Engrams over in the tower. Solstice weapon engrams only cost 2 legendary marks per engram. So if you do like 1 triumph, bro, you can roll for 25 Solstice engrams. This weapon's perk pool is absolutely sensational. It has a very, very strong pool of combinations to go with. The main 2 combos that I would roll with, depending on the situation I am in, goes as follows. A tried and true heal clip incandescent roll, I feel like, is just what most players would want on this SMG. It's a good roll, especially in content that you are on light with. You're not under leveled. It's very, very good at just, you know, AoE clearing, especially if you get an incandescent stack to proc your ignitions in a big group of ads. And of course, having a heal clip is just going to help keep you alive. Overall, very, very solid roll. However, I would still consider just the raw best roll for this SMG to be Attrition Orbs and Chaos Reshaped. Attrition Orbs is just so good on primaries because you don't have to invest a Siphon mod on your helmet, aka you leave that slot open for a Finder or a Scout, and you're still able to make orbs with your workhorse primary. And then Chaos Reshape is, once again, it's just a better version of Frenzy. So being able to stack it up to a 35% damage buff is just really, really greasy, really, really good, and allows for this weapon to still put in some work even in content that you're at like -20, -25. Just an overall amazing SMG, a reason why people were going crazy for it when it first dropped, and lo and behold, it's back. You can go ahead, get your hands on it for the low price of 2 legendary marks if you're lucky. This is one I would put at the highest of priorities of SMGs to go out and get if you do not have one already, and luckily it's pretty easy to get to. Now we have 2 SMGs that I loved using in the past but had to put down. They eventually got outclassed, it happens, but they are back, and when I mean better than ever, I mean better than ever. So my personal favorite SMG is the Unforgiven. It is the SMG from Duality. It is a 720 RPM SMG, one of the most beautiful looking weapons in the game, in my opinion. And this thing just has such a awesome perk pool. We just talked about the Yeartide Apex and its amazing roll of Attrition Orbs and Chaos Reshape. Well, if you're running a Void build, guess what? The Unforgiven has Attrition Orbs and Chaos Reshape. And to complement that, you could get a tier 5 with another amazing perk in the 3rd column in Destabilizing Rounds. Dude, Destabilizing Rounds and Chaos Reshape at the same time is so freaking nasty. You have a splash perk and a damage perk on the same weapon. Dude, absolute dream. Unfortunately, farming this weapon, you have to do a 2nd encounter of Duality, which is like the worst one out of the entire dungeon, but hey, you know, chill, be like that, be like that. It's Origin Trait Bitter Spite. It's relatively nice. It helps give it a little bit of reload speed, which is where I would say this weapon suffers the most in the stat department, is the reload stat. Origin Trait helps alleviate that a little bit, and Chaos Reshape will also help alleviate that a little bit because this perk is essentially just a better version of Frenzy. The first stack of Chaos Reshape grants it 20% increased damage, and then the 2nd stack, of course, gets it to that 35% increased damage, and will occasionally grant a periodic burst of healing. Nothing too crazy with the healing isn't anything insane, but just as a little bonus cherry on top to add into this weapon's really good kit, we'll happily take that. And obviously, dude, if you could get a tier 5 with both Destabilizing and Attrition Orbs in the 3rd column and then a Chaos Reshaped in the 4th column, you will be eating good. You will be enjoying life for any Void build you are on. Give this SMG a try, give it a spin. It's so freaking good. My personal favorite SMG in the game ever, and I'm very glad that it's back prominent and ready to kick some butt. That brings us to the last SMG of today's video. The SMG that we saved for last year, I feel like is low-key sensational, and you bet your ass it is going to be giving Multimach a run for its money, as we are talking about none other than the Vow the Disciple SMG, the Submission. The Submission, first of all, is the only SMG on this list that you can craft. If you ever played Vow over the years, over the past 4 years and you have this weapon's pattern, go craft this weapon with, wait for it, kinetic tremors in the first column, or in the third column, chaos reshaped in the fourth column. With enhanced soul drinker 2, this thing is an absolute demon. And yes, chaos reshaped buffs the damage of kinetic tremors. You want to talk about a mogging SMG? The submission is your mogging SMG. This thing is going to lay waste to a lot of enemies. Fluted barrel and flared magwell as your column 1 and column 2 perks respectively. This thing is going to feel so snappy, so smooth, so quick, agile. Everything you want in an SMG, this thing provides. And it's been out for over 4 years. If you have the pattern, which I would assume most people have the pattern for this SMG at this point, you're really going to be doing yourself a service and enjoying one of the game's most prominent primaries. And hey, even if you don't have the pattern and you're a solo player, you can always hit the secret chest in the opening of the raid itself on all 3 characters each week, completely solo, and at least give yourself a chance and avenue into getting this weapons pattern. I mean, it feels a little crazy talking about getting the submission pattern in 2026, but if you don't have it, this is something that you should definitely be working on getting because it is just that good. Kinetic Tremors, Chaos Reshaped with Enhanced Soul Drinker. Enhanced Soul Drinker is just so good. All of those hits that you do, damage that you do to the enemy in that mag when you reload, bam. It's basically like a pseudo version of Heal Clip, but it's an origin trait on a kinetic weapon with a splash perk and the best damage perk in the game. There's a reason we save this weapon for last. It's so good. It's that guy. One of the best SMGs simply in the entire game. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the list down below in the comments. Did I miss an SMG? Did I overrate an SMG? Also consider checking out the Twitch channel. Link at the top of the description. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Y'all have a great day. Be safe, and I'll see your beautiful faces in the next one, baby. Adios.